Hey everybody, welcome back to some more early morning barking, talking about BPD and MPD by somebody that has both. Don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons and do all the social media-y things that you like to do with those things. I really appreciate it. Today I'd like to talk about catastrophizing and the end of the world. There was a point, not long ago, where I would lose sleep over the fear of various illnesses, diseases, and physical conditions. At one point, I think it's intermittently, I was fearing HIV and AIDS, various cancers, diabetes, probably the most serious forms of diabetes that you could have. I've worried about some sort of kidney failure at some point. And several others. I reached a point where if I really had everything wrong with me that I feared I had wrong with me, I not only would be dead, but I would be the most unlucky human being that ever lived in the first place. It's kind of not possible to get all of the things that I was at one point worried that I had. And this is a common problem. You see, not only do bad things happen, but they're the worst things in the world. They're the worst possible things that could happen. Is that a headache? No, it's a brain tumor. It's inoperable. You've got 2 weeks left to live. So far, I've not had a brain tumor or 2 weeks left to live. So far, I'm actually pretty healthy. I've never had any of those things that I mentioned, and arguably never had any reason to fear having any of those things that I've ever mentioned. Really. These things just come into your brain and they come from nowhere. Where am I getting HIV from? That's never been. I don't live any sort of lifestyle where that's even a fear or a consideration. It would be a massive problem in some sort of. I can't imagine, to be perfectly honest. I can't imagine the path to me getting some of these things, but they have kept me awake. In a similar way, I fear about the worst possible things happening in every scenario all the time. And my body reacts as if those things are definitely about to happen. Everything, all the time. I fear mail coming through the door because every letter is somebody telling me that I suddenly owe them thousands of pounds that I don't have. I fear every little ache or pain. I fear every journey in the car. I fear every journey that anyone has in any car. Planes are quite nerve-wracking, although rationally I have no fear of flying. There's so many things. I'm really, to those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, it's difficult to communicate the severity of the worry and how it affects you as if it's real. Because I know that some people, inevitably on every video I've made, I will eventually end up with a comment of, well, normal people do this anyway. Yeah, I know, right? That's a whole other video to itself. In fact, that might be what I do on Friday now. I'm going to write that down. Normal people do that anyway. Yeah. See, that's me making notes. It's not like what normal people do. This is the difficult task in making these videos about either personality disorder. Yeah, I know you do a thing that's a bit like that. I know people worry about stuff. But no, you don't. No, you don't. Not like this. Not about everything. As I walk around the house, I'm looking at things that I'm going to fall into and break my skull in on one day. everything positioned where it is on surfaces causes tension. Am I going to knock that off? And then it goes on to other people. They're going to let me down. They're going to do this. They're going to do that. They're going to treat me like this. This bad thing is going to happen. It's everything all the time. Everything. All the time. And if you're someone who knows what I'm talking about, then you know damn well what I'm talking about, right? It's everything all the time. That's been the biggest problem to communicate. How it is everything. I am sat here conscious that these two light bulbs that are lighting my face could potentially explode and kill me. It's everything all the time. You don't quite get it, I think, unless you get it. It's debilitating. It is terrifying. It is physically and emotionally draining on a daily basis. To have this much worry in your life on such an unreasonable level is soul destroying. Because everything is the worst thing. Have I mentioned that it's everything all the time? Have I made that clear that it's everything all the time? Do you know, can you imagine what that feels like to go through? I'm so tired all the time. And it's not just because I'm not getting enough sleep. I'm drained. I'm emotionally empty because everything is the worst thing in the world. I feel like I should go on giving you examples, but I feel like that would negate this point when I say it's everything all the time. What are you worried about? Everything. Everything. Are they currently tracking an asteroid that's going to destroy the Earth and they haven't told us yet? But does that matter because global warming? And are we going to just starve to death in Brexit anyway? So we're not even going to get to global warming. And I've probably got like 14 different cancers riddling my body and something that hasn't been named yet. And I've got COVID-20, which is more powerful than COVID-19, and I'm going to be patient zero. Everything, all the time. You can calm it down if you get a hold of it. Because let your rational mind take over for a minute, okay? There are no undetected diseases in you that man hasn't yet discovered. That's not a thing. That's not happening to you. Okay, I will grant you that someone is the first person to get everything. Okay. But do you know how unlikely it is that that's you? Living your life in the way that you do, watching your YouTube videos. Do you know how unlikely it is that you are patient zero of anything? And that how unlikely it is that a meteorite is going to destroy the Earth on a daily basis. It's very unlikely. It's possible, okay? But it's very unlikely. Just like it's unlikely that I had everything wrong with me that I thought I had wrong with me. And that for me was the deal breaker, that one. It was that moment of, hang on, I can't possibly have all of these things wrong with me, right? Even if I can't. At most, it's possible that I have one. And I don't even have any rational explanation as to how I might end up getting that one, right? And when you start looking at it like, you start, oh, yeah. And some of these, if you worry enough about enough stuff, they start to counteract each other. Right? You can't worry about two things that counteract each other. Am I eating too much or too little? Am I too fat or too thin? All of there's so many things that contradict each other that can't possibly all be. And if you can focus on those things, I found that the easiest way to break through this tension of this worry. There are bad things in the world. There are bad things that happen. There are bad things that come out of nowhere. But not every day. Not every minute of every day. Not about everything. Not to the point that we're worrying about stuff and it's slowly destroying our lives and eating us away and making us tired and worry and touchy. Because these things aren't going to happen. And maybe if they do, then you can deal with it. But until then, you have to let go and be in the moment. Look, I'm not saying I can do that personally every time. I can't. I'm still in practice. I'm still in training. And in years to come, I still don't know that I'll be able to do it every time with everything. Or if this will just go away. God, I hope it does. But look, either way, going on this way with this amount of catastrophizing, of thinking the worst, of expecting the worst, this is unacceptable and it doesn't work. It's hurting us, it's harming us, and it's making us feel bad, and we have to try and let it go. So just with everything else, the key is to look for the cracks, to look for the bits that don't make sense. You don't really have all these things wrong with you. So let's realize that this is just, it's not, I hesitate to use the word silly fears because I don't want to call anybody silly for feeling a particular way or not. But at the same time, was worrying about those illnesses not a silly thing? It wasn't rational. It didn't make sense. There was no basis in fact or experience. Yeah, I worried about it until I could realize and tell myself, stop it. You can't have all these things wrong with you. You can't be that unlucky. And once you start to let that thought in, the catastrophizing sort of, like I say, it hasn't gone away from me, but it quietens down. So, I hope you have good luck with it. I hope it's something you can work with. And if you don't have it, I hope you've understood that it's everything all the time. Okay? You lot take care. I'll see you later. Bye.